One of the complaints I've heard recently about uh, some of the higher level sports, I won't pick on one particularly, but it's so much kind of one-on-one play. They aren't seeing the teamwork that I used to see it. So how do you go about encouraging teamwork in youth sports in particular? That is what we'll be covering in this video. One of the essence of youth sports is this idea of teamwork. That's what kids love, to be part of a team. And teamwork has multiple facets to it, right? It's like working for the same goal. Could be a sport like track and field, a lot of individual, but you're still working for the same outcome. Or a team sport like basketball or hockey or soccer, where the intricacies of knowing each other and working together on the field, on the court, that's a whole different level of teamwork. But that connectedness, working for common goals, all of those things are going to go into what we're talking about with teamwork, and that's what we'll be covering next. When teams are connected, there's something magical that begins to happen. We talk sometimes about synergy and this attitude that kind of comes together. But when the teammates have each other's back, they like each other, they play together, they picking each other up, they are there supporting emotionally in so many ways. Those teams tend to really synergize. Things come together. They play more relaxed. They know each other really well on the ice, on the court, on the field, what have you. So there's this level of trust that's enormous in competing at high levels together as a team. Now, again, we've talked about different kinds of sports. What I'm just talking about is so important for sports that are working together to advance the ball and try to score. Basketball, hockey, football, even all those things. It's a little bit different than like baseball, which isn't quite the same way as those in terms of like designing plays and all those sort of things. But the principle is still there. But it also carries over to sports like track and field and swimming and tennis and very individualistic sports where you are still all working together to try to achieve the same goal. And when you are connected people to people emotionally, that's where this power of synergy comes in. It's a powerful component of teamwork. It's that human bond and connection that needs to be fostered. So it's important for young people to begin to learn that you got to cooperate, right? You got to work together. Even with people that you're competing with for a position, you are still having the same objective, and the idea of trying to make your team better, doing whatever you can to make your team better, sometimes means you have to sacrifice some things for yourself. That is a valuable, very important lesson that can pay huge dividends long term. Sometimes people get caught up of just, it's about me. I got to look good. I got to build myself up. And they don't want to make that sacrifice to make the whole team better. I was fortunate enough growing up that I didn't always have that experience. I still remember being a sophomore in high school, and our coaches weren't very good at some of the subtleties of teaching the game of baseball. But one of the players I played with had an older brother who was a outstanding player, D1 player. He was an incredible athlete himself. Went to all these different camps, and sophomore year, I can still remember going for a ground ball during practice to my left to turn a double play. And I'd always kind of been taught you don't turn your back on the runner. So if you're going to your left playing second and you don't turn your back on the runner, you have to turn a long way around to make the throw to second. He said, Chuck, if you go to your left, one step, you just take one step through, your back's to the runner, but you got a clean throw to second. It's a lot less time. I'm like, Oh, yeah, that makes complete sense. Here he was helping me out, playing the same position. Now, I was probably no threat to him, right? But he was a leader of the team. He was the type of guy who's going to do that to make the team better. It was always with him about team. We're going to find a way to win as a team. So he helped try to make me better because that's going to make the whole team better. And that's the kind of lessons that you really want to be teaching young kids. Part of the role of a coach, particularly for young athletes, as you're trying to develop, uh, even beginning middle school, going to high school, earlier on is a little difference, but you should constantly be talking about team, 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 right? Anybody who's involved in youth sports has probably heard there's no I in team, right? It's about sacrifice and serving the greater good. So you want to instill that value, and you want your athletes to be able to always be like helping the next guy up, right? Helping the next guy along. When my kids were going through the high school program, the head coach who came on when my oldest was a junior year was all about bringing in the freshmen to practice with the older guys, right? He wanted them to see how things were done. The previous coach he didn't even look at freshmen. They weren't even involved. They had their own team, their own practices. He never saw them. He didn't even know their names. In fact, I still remember telling the JV coach at the time, who became the head coach, that man, you've got to look at this freshman who, because my middle son was a freshman, said this like he should be starting varsity right now. His shortstop, he's like really good. Like you need to take a look at this guy. So the JV coach said, all right, yeah, I will, and I'll talk to the head coach. Well, sure enough, once they looked at him, a couple games in the season, he began starting. He became a 4-year starter. When you're running a program well, you need to have the younger guys looking at and seeing the older guys and practicing with them, and have the older guys help out, right? Teach them something, bring them under their wing. That's how you develop teamwork, belonging, and a sense of pride in your team. Part of the thing with coaching is you really need to become kind of a master communicator, right? You need to be able to get to the kids to understand what you are about and what you're trying to teach them in the moments, and using examples and telling the stories to illustrate your points is a powerful thing you can do. So let me tell you a story. Basketball, right? Of a coach, and there's a kid who buzzer, right at the buzzer. There's a big game. It was I think the regional finals to go to the state meet or state championship game. Wasn't the state championship game, but a big game, big moment, and took the final shot and front rimmed it, right? Devastated, right? And people are like, you know, the emotions of losing. And in the locker room after the game, the kid who took the shot was, kind of distraught, upset, it's wearing the emotions. And the coach understands something needs to be said. And he went in, gathered the team together, and said, all right, guys, great season. It's a tough loss, understood. But I want you guys to all understand one thing. First of all, how many of you missed a shot today? Pretty much all the hands go up, right? Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Most of those missed shots, nobody remembers. The spotlight was on the last shot, that shot that could have won the game. That takes guts. That takes courage to take that shot. That takes confidence to take that shot. Some people shy away from it, but Timmy didn't. So I want us to all think about that. And one, understand that all of you have that courage in you, and we all need to support each other in that, like, yeah, Like any one of us can make that shot and build each other up. And it's that kind of message and teamwork and building people up that can have a long lasting impact. You know, good coaching and all will help people know their roles. So when I'm a senior in high school, I've got two D1 guys playing in front of me. Right? I'm not going to play. I know I'm not going to play much at all, but I'm out there practicing every day. And I also, usually the head coach is the third base coach, but he knew how much into the game of baseball I was, and he gave me that responsibility. That that was going to become my role. He knew I wasn't going to play much, but I took that as like a role. That was an important role, very important role, and I did it really well. But that's subtle things that can be done to bring team unity and help people play important roles. Teamwork is such an important lesson. I hope this may have given you some ideas, encourage you to subscribe to our channel and check out some other videos. In particular, you might be interested in how to develop a good youth sports program. And within that, how you're going to develop teamwork so that can combine. So check that out today, and we'll see you in another video.